Well, good evening. I have been doing some online reading today, and apparently there are people who actually are talking about September 23rd either being the end of the world because of a mysterious planet that's going to smash into ours and destroy the whole planet, or some are saying it might be the beginning of the Great Tribulation. That was the other theory that I was reading. I'm sure there's many more. It's a great time to make money. If you want to write a book about the end times, you have about a week and a half to get that book out there and just get it on the market before this end of the world happens. And maybe some people will buy your book, and then in 2 weeks it'll be in that entranceway outside of Barnes and Noble where the books are like 90% off, right next to the other ones about the blood moons and I don't know, Shemitahs and mysteries and all kinds of other con men that are out there. Con men. So, thinking about this one, I was looking at some of the some of the logic. I use that word very loosely. The gosh. It's so, I don't even want to laugh. I'm trying to keep a straight face. This is so hard. Apparently, they're claiming, yeah, Zips tea. Apparently, they are claiming this because of something connected to the pyramids. Now, I did extensive research last year because in February this year, I took a team over for an archaeological tour of the pyramids, read a whole bunch of interesting stuff about it, and so I want to tell you some of the truth about the pyramids that is really interesting and fascinating, and I think you'll get a lot out of it, biblically speaking. But then also, I can't even make heads or tails of. Yeah, I mentioned the invisible planet. Yeah, that's right. So I can't even make enough sense to try to explain to you what they're claiming about the pyramids, but somehow they think that the pyramids are pointing to September 20th to September 23rd, 2017. That's the way that this guy, David Mead, I've never heard of him before this, that he has created this theory, and it's getting a little bit of traction, which is amazing. So here's the reality behind the pyramids. No, aliens didn't build them. Sorry, Discovery Channel or History Channel, whichever one it is. It's always like, aliens. I think it's History Channel. So, but what we do know, if you go to the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and this is an original book that's 5,000 years old. You go back and you look in there. It talks about the pharaoh that built it, which is Khufu, and it talks about who he had built it, which was an architect who was a prophet of the Most High God named Enoch. Pretty cool. So Enoch, in the Egyptian Book of the Dead, is credited as actually the one who built the pyramids. There's about 120 pyramids that they've found in Egypt. I'm doing this from memory, so if you go Wikipedia this, you can check it out yourself or whatever, but there's about 120 pyramids that they've found. The other ones have actually been, they were all smaller than the Great Pyramid of Giza, and they were, let me do this. There, turn my comments off. I always forget. Sometimes they're so fun, but you're going to make me just crack up if you keep mentioning all the weird theories out there. I should be wearing an aluminum foil hat right now. That would be awesome. Maybe next time. So, it was built by Enoch. King Khufu actually gave them the workmen, which is about 100,000 workmen, is what's recorded in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And it wasn't called the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It's actually just a book that they kept finding in the tombs of the pharaohs in the Valley of the Kings. And so they call it the Book of the Dead. It was actually called the Going Forth by Day. And so whatever that meant to them at the time. And so they recorded a lot of different things, and normally these pharaohs, you can see they have these statues that are, some of them are like 5 stories tall. Like you pull the tour bus over and get out, and you're like this tiny little ant next to this giant statue. The king, the pharaoh who commissioned the building of the original, the Great Giza Pyramid, that Enoch built, that is the famous one with all the interesting passageways inside of it, the only statue they've ever found of him is 2 inches tall, and they have it in the museum in Cairo, and it's mind-blowing to see. This is the only statue of this dude they've ever found, and you can tell, you know it's him because it has a cartouche, which is the way that they would write their name, and so his name is written out, and it's the only one that they've found. So something about, I believe he was humbled by actually seeing this prophet Enoch build this thing and the revelation that was built inside of it. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, it talks about how every inch inside the pyramid converted to a year. So what this David Meade guy came up with for years, I don't know how he made his scheme work in his mind, but there is some reality to the fact that the inches inside the pyramid actually measure out to something. Now there's a score line in the tunnel when you go into the pyramid. Now the tunnel that you go in nowadays is the tunnel where the robbers broke in about 800 AD. But if you go in through the original tunnel, which was like 60 feet higher, and they didn't know where that was, if you went into that tunnel, there's a score mark across the ground, and that's where you start counting the pyramid inches. And at first, you go down this slide area called the descent, and if you kept going down, it would go all the way down to a pit at the bottom of the pyramid underneath it called the bottomless pit. That's what it's called in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. The bottomless pit, the descent down into it. That tunnel points out into the sky at Draco, the dragon constellation. And so the dragon thrown into the bottomless pit. Interesting. As you're going down, there's a tunnel that goes up. And if you go up that tunnel, it's really, really low, and you have to crouch over really hard to actually go up through this tunnel. And the years that you walk up that tunnel, I'm trying to remember the exact dates. I'm sorry, all the numbers in my head. But that short tunnel is called the yoke of the law. The yoke of the law. And it starts from when Egypt would have enslaved the Jewish people in under Moses, or under Joseph, sorry. When they would have enslaved them until they were freed. And when you look at when they were freed, it's about, 1,800 years later, because you have 1,400 years under the law, plus you also have the time that they are in slavery. So they're under the yoke of the law until it comes out into a hall called the Gallery of Truth in the Light. And when you get to that Gallery of Truth in the Light, it goes from crouching over to 28 feet high. Massive, massive tunnel that opens up in the middle of the pyramid. And at that point, there's a stepping stone that's 30 inches, 30 pyramid inches wide, and it's called the Passion of the Messiah in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. So 30 years, Jesus, the Passion of the Messiah, you cross over that, and now you're in the Great Hall of Truth and the Light. You go up through that, and you get to the King's Chamber. And the King's Chamber, in there, you have an empty tomb. And it's, people say, oh, they robbed it. No, they never found anything. The robbers who broke into it, it was empty. There was nothing there except an open, empty coffin. And the King's Chamber up in the middle of this thing has always been known in the Egyptian Book of the Dead as the open tomb. The King's Chamber and the open tomb. So this whole thing connects to in Isaiah 19, where it talks about that it says in the center of Egypt, and at its border there will be a sign, a monument unto the Lord. This is the Pyramid of Giza. That's what it is. But how is it at the center and at the border? How would that even be possible? Well, the name Giza actually means border, and it's at the center of Egypt. So it's both at the center and at the border. When the border is actually the border between the west and the east of the River Nile that splits the country down the middle. So they called it Giza, border. So it's both at the center and at the border at the same time. And so the Great Pyramid of Giza has nothing to do with aliens, has nothing to do with Nephilim, has nothing to do with September 23rd and the end of the world. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built by Enoch under Khufu 5,000 years ago, is the Isaiah 19 monument unto the Lord that will declare for all future generations that He is the God of He is God, and that He loves His people. And that's reality right there. So I'm sorry if you're hearing about September 23rd, and maybe you're let down. Maybe you thought, I'm not going to have to pay my credit card bills this month, and whatever it was that you were excited about, and maybe I'm taking away your great hope that some invisible planet's going to smash us. But hey, if you're still here on September 24th, you have 2 days to sign up for Welton Academy. We start September 26th. We love history, we love scripture, we love studying it and actually understanding it properly in a healthy way that makes better thinking, better supernatural, better families, better lives, and we'd love to have you check it out. WeltonAcademy.com, Supernatural Bible School, and let people know they're going to be around for a couple more weeks, at least. Because September 23rd, it's going to be a bummer. Nothing. Just nothing. If it's your birthday, it's going to be a great day. But otherwise, yeah. Bye, guys.